All right. Okay, so Martha is coming in. Just wait for her. But anyway, so Brian, this is Steve. Steve is actually currently in San Diego, and he is the active professor for New School of Architecture and Designs, and he is the president of the Coast to Coast Equities. So Steve, this is Brian. Brian, if you wanted to kind of, just simply provide some information about yourself to Steve. And we have Fu also. Fu, welcome to Fire Up Connect. So go ahead, Brian. I wanted you to kind of, share your information. I hate to kind of, not say it correctly. So I prefer that you say it.
Okay. So Steve, I have two companies. One is Charitable Planning Network, where we focus on three main things, which is obviously charitable planning, tax deferral planning, which is helping people defer or eliminate capital gains.
Are you there, Brian? You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Are you there?
Oh, I am.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
One of my superpowers is finding dead spots on the road. So
okay. Well, definitely I will make sure that I connect you to Steve. And we have also Mary Soriano here. Mary, how are you?
Hi.
Good to have you here at the Fire Up Connect. And we're just actually doing a little introduction here. Brian George is a new member of Fire Up Connect, and we have Steve Matley and James Fu. Fu, how are you doing? Are you
Yeah, sorry, I was just doing something, but
okay?
yeah, so I'm doing good. I'm really extremely busy. I just got a new hire for podcast booking, and I have like this TV opportunity that's what I was kind of like doing, because my client was like, hey, what's happening? And I'm like, oh. So
All right. Well,
yeah.
let's go ahead and get started here. And again, I'm waiting for Martha. She said she's logging in, but we're going to go ahead and start. Oh, there it is. Another one is coming in here. That's Marianne. I think she's just trying to get the number of people here. Okay. Anyway, all right. First of all, we have our Q&A as the beginning of our meeting, and you get to ask a question, okay? So I will go ahead and start a question, and Martha is coming in. All right, there you go. And Mariam, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, Mary, I'm your virtual assistant.
Okay, all right, sounds good, Mariam. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask a question. So I'll ask the question to Mary. Mary, what have you been focusing on at this time in your business?
Are we talking about real estate or the ballpark farmers market?
Whatever you're doing, you can share that, whatever you wanted to share with us.
I'd say today I'll go with the immediate. I just finished a meeting in trying to establish the nonprofit for the ballpark farmers market.
Okay.
And did a little walk around the area. Just kind of moving forward with that market.
Okay. And can you give us a little overview of what that is?
Well, there's this place called the Petco Stadium where we have a Major League Baseball here in San Diego.
Okay.
And in front of that stadium is a community park. The backdrop would be the stadium, and within that park, with the backdrop of the stadium, would be a farmer's market. And to differentiate this farmer's market, it would be, I think, just a matter of I just know quite a few people out there that are talented in their own rights from their country or culture. Like, you know, I have a Persian friend who's known to cook wonderful Persian food. You know, Ethiopian friend who has these crazy coffee beans, and I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but something of that sort where it's really diversified in culture and not just a generic like, hey, you know, I could see this vendor at this market, and you know, maybe I might not see you here today at this market. I'll go to another market. I want to stay away from that and really get a unique, like international farmers market going.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary is a real estate agent also, and she works with large development projects. So, and I've known Mary for quite some time now. Now, Mary, it's your turn. Who would you like to ask a question?
Let's see. Well, I saw Fu on here earlier. I'm not sure if he's still on here.
Yeah, he is here.
So Fu, I did not see a viral video of you when you went to New York. So I know that the Kung Fu Hustle song was not played. So what are you doing after your 15 minute famous, you know, in New York?
15 minutes, it's a long time. So no,
Fame.
where I'm
Yeah.
getting more like 3 to 5 minutes tops. Like that's TV. It's like you got 3
Oh,
minutes, make the
okay.
most out of it, right? So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that opportunity, it got pushed, and like it wasn't like I don't know if it's right now there's supposed to be for June 20 something, but I still haven't even got confirmation. So I'm moving to other TV opportunities on like other affiliates. Like for example, right now I have next TV thing I landed on June 15 is gonna be in Fox Baltimore for one of my clients. So it's gonna be like 3 minutes in studio, it's gonna go live. So yeah, that's what it's going. And then videos of like I'm just distributing the videos on my podcast, videos and you know, features for like the clients and stuff. But yeah, like that the CBS one didn't go as planned, but we still, you know, we're still getting on TV, just not that specific one. So we're hoping to get there later on, but for now it's like keep getting pushed and stuff. So it's like, you know what, we're gonna go with a different TV station. So
All right.
What are you doing then for your clients? I mean, I really don't know what you do for your clients. What does your company do?
So I help aspiring thought leaders increase their brand authority so they can achieve that goal of becoming like the number one authority in your field, becoming a thought leader that you people like when they need your services, that you're the first person in their mind. And the way that we accomplish that is by creating very compelling newsworthy content and pitching them to the media and matching it with what the media wants at the moment. And that is in publications, podcasts, and TV.
Awesome. All right, Fu, who would you like to ask a question?
I'm gonna say Steve. Steve. What is that you have as your background? Seems like it's like a real estate something like a planning or something.
Background, actually multiple industries, but most of it in construction management and land development. So I worked as a GC, worked as an agency construction manager, basically hired gun consultant, public jobs, private jobs, expert witnessing. And then I started my own company in the early 2000s, 2001, with a partner of mine where we started doing land acquisition and entitlement processing and selling to developers. I also was the VP of a home builder.
So this background that you have in the Zoom, it's
my background, that background right there is related to that. That is 106 acres in Arizona that we are currently mapping. It's in the process, and we started the project in January, and we expect to be through with our approvals by the end of June.
Awesome. All right, Steve, who's your next person?
Well, I am going to ask Martha a question. Okay. My question for Martha is, how, I know you work with small business people, and I know that you're a number cruncher. How do you get small business people interested in even talking about numbers? My experience with small business people is when you start talking numbers and spreadsheets, their eyes glaze over and they don't really want to talk.
So what I realized that the talking initially is the easy part with them. I think it's when I give them the price, that's when they're scared. So they see the value. I've noticed this with them, even with big businesses, they see, oh yeah, I need to look at my numbers if I want to achieve XYZ numbers. But then when they hear my price, they're like, because I feel like they don't understand what is involved. I mean, the very first thing that one has to do to look at their numbers is look at bank statements. And there's so many transactions there. If they're not doing that alone, that's time consuming. And then after that, we go into analyzing those statements. And then from those statements, we analyze how their marketing is aligning with those numbers. And if their operation is also aligning with those numbers, because you want everything to go together. Because if you have intersections or things that are perpendicular, then they're not working together, then that's when you cannot flow straight, like in physics. And then things don't go the way you want them to go. You're stuck.
Okay. So do you think that it's a fear or a lack of knowledge is why most small business people don't want to discuss numbers?
I think it's two things. One of them is that they don't want to, they don't want to accept that they're not good at this. And the other one is they don't see the value because they've never done it before. But they're going to see that there's going to multiply. How did I go from 5 million to 10.1 million? Was looking at my numbers and working based on my numbers. And it's not easy to go from 5 to 10. And I'm going to go from 10 to 100. And I know I'm going to do it. I already have a number strategy written down.
Wow. All right, Martha, you get to ask Brian.
Brian, sorry guys, I have a lot of animals here today. Brian, so let me know what your industry is. This is the first time I see you here.
Brian, are you there? I just asked to unmute you. There you go.
Can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you hear me
yes.
now?
Did you get the question from Martha?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is actually the second time we've been on a call together, Martha, but that's okay. So I do a number of things, but one thing that might be applicable for this call is there are lots of business owners involved in Fire Up Connect. And eventually, you're going to want to sell your business. And if you started from scratch, you're going to pay capital gains on the total sale amount because you have no cost basis to offset that. So one of the things we do is we can help you either defer or totally eliminate the capital gains. So you get to keep the gross amount of your sale price. That is usually of interest to business owners who are selling their business. There's a few strategies you can use to do that. And if you want, I can get into detail on maybe one of them if there's time now or later during the call.
Yes, we always want that. Okay, Brian, you get to ask me a question.
Marie, why did you start Fire Up Connect?
It's because of wanting to gather the business professionals to help the women in real estate get connected to the community. Because I started the Finest Women in Real Estate company, and I'm trying to promote the women in real estate. And one of the things that I like to do always is to connect them to the community. And the only way to do that also is to bring in the people from the community, which are the business professionals. So I brought them in. What's that? What did you say, Brian? You're breaking
It's been
up.
successful so far?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I am able to now have the Fire Up Connect 100% online, and I'm now connected to a lot of people from different states. I mean, imagine, what city are you coming from, Brian? Brian? Oh, we lost Brian. Okay, so he's probably getting bad connections. But anyway, oh, there you are. So Brian, what city are you coming from? Can you hear us? Okay, so he's having trouble with his connection here. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to our presentation, which is Steve. Steve is gonna do a 7-minute presentation here. So Steve, are you ready? You want me to, I'll go ahead and share the screen so you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I think we're set up. I'm going to
Alright.
talk a little about what we do, which is investing in land. And there's a lot of ideas on land. I'm going to walk through some of what we do. We are very specific in the type of land that we do and the type of projects we do. There's a lot of ways you can invest in land. You can buy a small property and split it into 2 lots and then sell one or build on one if you want. We do that, but on a much larger scale. So we're going to share with you some of the things that the larger developers and builders understand that most smaller real estate investors and common people don't really know about. But I'm going to walk through. This is just a little disclaimer that I'm not your attorney or your accountant. So if there's anything here you decide you want to do and you want to run after it, go check with your experts on it, make sure you're doing it correctly. So most of us are familiar with the basic real estate type investments. We can buy and hold and then sell a residence that we live in. That happens all the time, and we make a profit at that, hopefully, depending where you live in the country. Or we can buy and then hold and collect rent and then sell the rental and make money on that. We can buy and then fix and then sell our residence. So we buy a dump, we fix it up, we build equity and value in that, and then we sell it off. We can do the same thing for a rental. We can also do it the fix and flip, which on a short term, you buy, fix, and sell a property very quickly without ever living in it, without renting it out. You just build value. We're well familiar with that. We've seen that on HGTV and other things. This is actually my first fix and flip. This was a geodesic dome out in Bermuda Dunes, California. It was abandoned for over 3 years when I picked it up. The guy next door had already picked one up and was building on it. All the rest of the homes on the street are more traditional, half-acre lots, little kind of executive homes. This one I fixed up. You can never make them look pretty. They're always ugly no matter what you do on the outside, but inside they're really awesome, really cool. There's no supporting walls or anything. So this was a really nice deal. I fixed it up and planned on staying there for a long time until I got a job transfer, and I ended up turning it over in 10 months and doubling my money. So it was an unintentional fix and flip. We called it the first dome on the left, or sometimes we called it the domicile. So this was my second fixture. This is out in the Fletcher Hills area of San Diego, east. Near Grossmont, Mount Helix area. 1951 GI home, again, picked this one up. It was in pretty bad condition, redid everything on it, inside and outside, and lived there for about 2.5 years while I did all that, and then sold it off and made some money on that. Then this one was an unintentional fixer. I bought this one, it was in great shape, and I put some renters in there, and it worked until one day my realtor from the area called me. This is about an hour away from where I live, and said, "Hey, I drove by your house and there was plywood boarded up on the window." I'm like, "What?" And the yard was all dead. I said, "What?" And so I went out there and found out that this particular tenant had run into hard times. Now, they were behind on rent, but they'd been really good for about 2 years. So I kind of let him go. And unfortunately, that was one of those don't be nice to people because it'll always come back and bite you, which, probably isn't a good term to live on, but as a landlord, it's a good rule. So I ended up having to evict, and it took a long time. And when I was all done, I had 3.5 tons of garbage to pull out of there. Nothing was usable. I had to gut the whole thing and redo it. And so it became a fixer for me. So that taught me the joys of being a landlord. I'm going to talk to you more advanced real estate investments. You can do multifamily. Anywhere 4, 8, 10, 20 different lots. Usually when you get up past 10, you're getting into more expert level. You can also buy and value add, fix some small multifamily, and then hold on to it, appreciate it, sell it off. And then you could also do the same thing with light commercial property, little strip malls and commercial park type stuff. You can lease and hold it. You can buy it, lease it out, and then sell it after it's got a tenant in there. It's worth more when there's a tenant in there and the improvements are done. You can design and build spec homes and sell those. You can also do, in here also probably notes would come into this category, and doing some small lot splits. That would kind of fit into a little bit more advanced stuff. Then you get into the expert stuff. This is, I think the company's Irvine Company, and think D.R. Horton, you know, I think Manchester, think Donald Trump. These are the kind of things they would do. So you can buy and then do tenant improvements or build suits and lease or manage commercial properties. You can do large multifamilies. These are like the large rental communities, either urban high rise or maybe a complex of a dozen or so 3-story walk-ups. You can buy and then lease and manage commercial properties or industrial type commercial properties. You can do multifamily or mixed use where you build them and then lease them and manage them. You can buy and then entitle and then sell raw land. That's what my company does. You can take the next step and not only entitle it, but develop it and then sell it. Or you can develop it and then build the buildings, either commercial or homes, and sell production homes or sell the commercial. Or you can lease out the commercial or rent the homes. You can do build to rents. So this is more advanced, and you can also do master plan communities, PUDs, those type of things. This gets into larger stuff, and most of us don't get into it because we don't have the money or knowledge. This is one of those I did. This is in Santa Monica, California, right corner of Ocean and San Vicente. This was back in '98 was when I did this project. So it's been a while. $54 million back then, and so you know what, that's probably closer to about $150 million now. And that was a gut and retrofit and rebuild project. Bunch of celebrities live in this building. Great views all up and down the Pacific Coast. This is another project I did. This is a tract of 67 homes in Menifee, California. This one was small, but very complicated. It took a while to get through the approvals, but it made a lot of money for us. Okay, so the difference, when you're doing the more traditional stuff, your basic residential real estate, a lot of it is about emotion. I'm buying the master bedroom, the school district, the kitchen, the way the yard's going to look. I picture the family around Thanksgiving dinner. This is, you know, building the legacy. This is emotional decisions. When you get into the advanced and pro level, it's really all about a spreadsheet. So Martha would appreciate that. It's numbers. It either pencils or it doesn't pencil. And no matter how much you like it or you think it's awesome, if it doesn't pencil, you let it go. So everything's for sale every day, basically. So why do people don't do this? It requires a lot of capital. It takes, most of us don't have 7 figures sitting around waiting to get put into something, or, you know, $50, $70 million. It takes very high equity to loan ratios if you're doing raw land. Raw land, you don't just go to the bank and put 3% or 20% down. They're going to want to see over 50% down on that, which is a lot of money out of pocket. May require personal guarantees if you're getting loans. That means you've given the bank or the lender permission that if it goes south, don't just take the land and don't just take the business, take my retirement fund, take my house, take my car, take my kids' college fund, and take the grandma's china, take everything. And that's the personal guarantee. So that's a problem for the loan. It takes a lot of expertise to manage very complex projects. I actually teach a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in construction management, which is one piece of the puzzle for doing development. You need to know legal issues. You need to know land use. You need to know construction management. You need to know architecture and engineering. No one person can know all these things. And you need to know a lot about finance. You need to understand money, or hire the people that do and you can trust them. Potential liability if you're building for injuries to people on the job, injuries to the general public, for activities caused by construction, dust, noise, defective construction. There's a lot of things you're open to on that. Hazardous dumping if they're not watching that. There is potential for significantly higher risk doing this, but there's also a much higher return. So here's an option that we use, and we try to mitigate most of these risks. We'll take a piece of land. This here, there's actually 4 parcels, but only the 3 larger parcels are the ones we're working with. We ignore the diagonal one, that's an aqueduct, and we're going to map this thing. And so what we do is we take these 3 agricultural parcels, which by zoning, you can have 2 residences in each one. So there's 6 homes you can have there. We entitle it. This is called a land flip. We purchase it, we entitle it, we sell it to a builder or developer. We don't build anything. We don't design, engineer, or construct a thing. We plan for the improvements. Okay. Does it work everywhere? No. I would not think this works very well, say, in North Dakota, where there's not an accelerating real estate market very much, because this relies on a growing market. This doesn't work in the cycle of real estate where things are on the decline. Right now, with the supply and demand, that decline may be coming, but it's not coming anytime in the next few years because we still have a huge gap between the available supply and demand out there. We 10 years, we only built half the home. There is also in California, if you're in California, you have what's called CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, which is a load of red tape. Nationally, you have NEPA, which is a lot easier to work with, although getting a little tougher. There's very slow processes. And it's really good to do this in the states where the Californians are moving to, or where the New Yorkers are moving to. So we take the raw land, we entitle it, basically that we're getting the government's permission to do something different than what's there. Instead of farming it, we're going to break it up into a bunch of home sites and sell off the individual homes when we're done building them. Once the builder is done building them, we sell the entitled land to the builder who will build the homes. But they buy from us 150 lots instead of the 3 agricultural lots. 150 homes instead of 200 homes, whatever it is. We can do it. You can do it by yourself or as a corporate group. And there's a lot of different structures that we can use. We use several of them. We have our favorites. So we go from this piece of land to this. And so you can see all those different sites are a different house. So now I've got, it's like if you did a fix and flip, but you bought a 2-bedroom, 1-bath little bungalow. And when you were done doing your fix, you had a 100-unit condo building. That would be the same. That's why the value goes up a lot. So how do we do it? First, we have to acquire the land. Second, we structure a project. Third, we entitle it. Fourth, we sell it. And fifth, we wind down the project. So real quick, I'm going to run through this really fast. It's going to be a fire hose approach, and you'll contact me if you have any questions, which you will. So first of all, you acquire the land. We find what kind of property do we want? Where do we want it? What's the market, topography, utilities, lot sizes, all the stuff we need to know. What's around it, shops, schools. We contact owners. We never buy anything that's listed. We contact the owners and ask them, would you like to sell your land or put it in escrow with us? We negotiate a purchase contract and we open an escrow, and our escrows will usually be anywhere from 18 to 24 months long. That sounds crazy, but you can get those. And the reason is we entitle while it's in the escrow. Location is everything. We got to find the right location. What's the market? It's not if you build it, they will come. It's we're building because we know they're coming. Are there utilities nearby? Water, sewer, gas, power, communications. We don't want to chase a sewer 5 miles down the street. Can you access the site? It's not landlocked anywhere. Topography, there's not a lot of, it's not vertical. There's not a lot of rocks and boulders that have to be blasted out, those type of things. Not sitting on a big cave or on a hazardous waste dump. So we need to know all those kind of things. And what is around in the community? Is there basic things like a Walmart and a CVS and a grocery store and a community center and schools? Next, contact the owners. It's always unlisted. We go to tax assessor's office. That's how we find out. You find out where the tax bill's going. You know where to find the owner. Your title company is your friend on this deal. Mail, snail mail works really well still. You use whatever media the owner likes. If they don't respond to phone calls, send them a letter. Don't respond to that, send them an email. Don't send an email, find them on social media. Whatever it is, find what works for them, not what you were favoring. Or knock on the door if you need to. Follow up and get introductions if possible, and maybe contact people like an agent or a lawyer that they understand and know who works with them, who can introduce them. We negotiate the purchase contract. It's not about the money. Money is obviously an issue, but we will gladly pay more than slightly over market value as long as it's within reason, as long as we get the terms. Again, long escrow. The time creates the money. The deal structure that we do, the business model requires a very long escrow. The contract's assignable. We can sell the contract and not the land if we want to. We can do that. Concurrent escrows must be allowed in the state where you're working. Make it worthwhile. You give the seller some deposits through escrow. They're non-refundable, but they do apply to the purchase price. And you have about 120 days to look at it before you give them a non-refundable deposit, so you can do your research, make sure it's all going to work. Soils, environmental, flood control, all of this. Open the escrow and do the feasibility, about 120-day feasibility. Does it pencil out? Is it a good market? Is the local city or county favorable to it? You don't want to fight in a city that doesn't want it. Soils reports and environmental site assessments. You release the deposit after 120 days, and you make additional deposits about every 120 days through the escrow that the owner gets to keep if you decide to bail out. That pays them for having it off the market for their opportunity cost. And it's free money for them because then they got the money and they're going to sell it again to someone else. Syndicated, so we do a 506B under Regulation D, which means we don't publicly advertise. So I'm not going to pitch you something today. I'm not trying to get you over your checkbooks. I'm just telling you how this works. We know every one of our investors personally, and that's the way we like it. We form an LLC. We get a tax ID. We make an operating agreement. We open a bank account, and then we put together a little investor package about the project, the the projected returns, how long it's going to take, what the market looks like, who the managers are going to be, any other information that we need that we will give to investors that need. So now we've got money, we've got the land, we have to entitle it. We go through whatever in California, it's CEQA, out of state, there's other regulations, NEPA's on everywhere. So we're going to follow those guidelines and whatever the local city or county says we have to do, zoning, general plan, title, anything they say, reports, studies, fees, anything they need to do, public hearings. Do they want a community facilities district or a revitalization district, a homeowner association, community service district, anything like that? We need to know what's going on there and what kind of fees and assessment attached to the development. And also what their conditions are. Roads, utilities, curbs, lights, parks, anything they might. So we have civil engineers, soils or geotechnical engineers, environmental engineers. We have market study experts. Sometimes we have paleontologists, we have biologists, archaeologists, land planners, whatever's needed to get this title, get it designed correctly in the city. In step 4, we sell it. Once we have the approvals, we sell the what's called paper lots. So the land doesn't look any different. But legally, it changed. It changed from one piece or 2 or 3 large pieces to a bunch of smaller pieces that can now be sold individually. And we have an escrow that's contingent upon the approval of the tract map or plat map. All the docs reporting, supporting documentation and title and all that kind of stuff. And we price it at whatever the value of land should be for the builder to buy it, improve it, build the homes, sell them, and still make a decent profit on it. And we close as soon as we get our approval from the jurisdiction. Then we wind down the LLC, pay off the balance of the purchase price, because remember we did this while it was an escrow, and we just put some deposits up. So we pay off the balance of it with the money that came from the buyer. We pay off all outstanding expenses. We return the investor's capital. That's an expense of the LLC, is to get that money back to them before we look at any profit. Then we prepare the final accountings and distribute all the profit to the members based upon their percentage ownership. And we leave just a couple thousand in there to close it all down and pay the accountants and attorneys to get it all closed up. That's pretty much the process. And here I want to show you, this is what the land looks like when we buy it. It's an empty piece of land. And in the distance, you see some houses out there that we did years ago. This is the next piece over. And this is what it looks like when we're done. Yeah, you don't see any difference, either do I. Because we didn't build or design anything, we just legally changed it. But let me show you what it really looks like to us. This is what it was when we got a hold of it, about $3 million. And this is what it was when we sold it, about $6.5 million. Because we bought agricultural land. We bought 50 acres of kitty litter. And what we sold was 250 home sites for a builder to build. This is what that site looks like today. The Google view and the street view. This is actually one of the projects we did. You see a little park in there. That park is because there's an earthquake fissure running through there, so you can't put homes on it. So we made it a park. So what are the risks? Could be long periods of time in certain states. That's why we're working out of California mostly. There's no guarantee you're going to get everything you want. That's why you do your research first. Your timing is dependent on market conditions. That's why we always try to make sure we know what's going on with the market and try to see a couple of years ahead, and also on what government agencies are doing. If you try to force something that people don't like, you'll be fighting the public. You've seen those in the TV shows and stuff. You don't want to do that. If you are going against the grain, you need to find a different project. We don't fight and force things in places where they don't belong. We want to be friendly to the city and leave it better than we found it. And we don't want to have a lot of hard feelings. We're trying to make the community better. It may become very long-term if you miss the market. So if you get into this thing in 2000 and December of 2006, you probably got very disappointed. We sold all of our projects out in 2005. Typical risk, you have risk of land ownership if you own it. That's why we keep it in escrow. And cities and counties can be unpredictable sometimes. So work in the where you understand them, you know them, that you trust them, and they're predictable. The upside, make a lot of money. 6 or 7 figure income. It's highly leveraged. That's why there's high ROI. Like I say, we do it while it's in escrow. Instead of buying the land for $4 million, all we do is raise the capital, title it, and still get the same profit. We build wealth in a relatively short period of time. could become a full-time enterprise if you wanted to do it all the time, like I do. And greater residual income if you decide to, instead of selling it, build on it and then rent those things out. We do build-to-rents as well. And you can build a portfolio if you want to do that. Real property in a business enterprise can pass to legacy if you structure your business enterprise correctly. And of course, if you don't have the money to do this, you pool resources. You take a small amount of money and join with a bunch of other people who also have a small amount of money, and it becomes a large amount of money. These kind of projects that most people can't access. And you don't have the risk of building or developing, because we don't put in the sewers and the storm drains. We don't build the houses. We don't build the commercial. We just do the site design. And that risk for that design goes to the civil engineer who has to. So why doesn't everybody do this? Most people don't know it exists. And if they do, they don't know how. It's a fear of the unknown. I've never heard this. HGTV does not have a show about this, so I don't feel comfortable, right? By the way, don't ever do anything the way HGTV does. You listen to uninformed people. My cousins, brother-in-laws, sisters, kids, cousin had a friend who lost a shirt to video. Yeah, no, okay, no. Listen to people that know what's going on in the business. And yes, there are risks in the business, as I just outlined. But get a real assessment of what those are and be informed. Maybe it's because it's not the way we've always done it. That's not the seminars that I saw where what you're doing is you're buying houses and you're fixing them and flipping them. Well, everybody's got their own way of doing things. And so they say it's not on reality TV, thank goodness. So it's a little different than most people are used to, and that's why most people don't do it. And that's a matter of just informing yourself and learning what's there. And by the way, my website has a lot of information on it and videos and other articles that you can check out and find out what we do. Or you can take this information I'm putting up here, my phone number, 951-809-9720, or my website. You can go to coast-coast.com or my email, smatley@coast-coast.com. Ask me any questions you want. I'm happy to talk you through this stuff. And I know what I just shared with you was about 400 words a minute, and more than you can probably digest in one sitting, but it's just a quick overview, and I welcome you to ask me any questions or talk to me. And by the way, Marie knows a lot about this stuff too, so you can talk.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and stop the share. Stop, okay. Any questions for Steve? Do we have any questions?
No, but this was a really good presentation. I had an idea what you did, but now I clearly understand, so I can explain it if I had to. So it was really good. I was taking notes.
There's a lot more to it, but that's as quick as I can do in the short time I have available. We don't want to be here all day. So.
Okay. Brian, do you have any questions? Mary?
Not at this point.
Okay, Mary? Fu?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, great. Well, that was amazing. It was more than 7 minutes, but it's a really good information. So let's go ahead, and we still have 15 minutes, 17 minutes here. Let's go ahead and start with our business share time. If you wanted to share some of your success story, challenges, or specific goal, that would be amazing. So who would like to start? I can go ahead and ask Steve, since you did the presentation. Go ahead. Share one of your success story or challenge or a specific goal.
Oh, so many to choose from. I would say we have a lot of success stories, fortunately, and some of our success stories come out of the challenges. So, for example, we had a challenge, and Marie knows this very well because she introduced us to people that bought a piece of our one of our projects back in December. And when we approached them, we thought they were just going to buy our project like I just presented to you with the map on it. And they said, actually, that's too small for us. We need something much larger. So we kind of weren't sure if that was going to go through. And the solution is we figured out that if we acquired the 13 contiguous sites to the north of it and created over twice the size, go from 42 acres to 126 acres, it was big enough for them. So we ended up not completing that map. We assembled all that, restructured the whole deal, still sold that to them. Our investors made 67% annualized out of the deal coming out before the end of the year. And the Canadian developers have something large enough for them to work on and cut their teeth on. And when they finish that out, then they'll probably do more with us. So that's a challenge that turned into a success story.
Awesome. What about you, Martha?
I'm gonna tell you the truth up front. I am doing more than I can do, but I'm gonna get it done because it's all about attitude. Because I'm working on a book, I'm working on a magazine, I'm doing the radio show. I'm also doing a radio Facebook show in Spanish once a week, and that's for the Spanish community. And what else? I'm supposed to publish 2 papers for my thesis this semester in 2 months. I don't know how it's gonna get done, but it's gonna get done.
Superwoman.
Sounds like your 2 thesis papers need to be part of your book or your magazine. Double it up to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah,
right.
you're right. We'll put some of that in.
Okay, James, what about you?
Is this like, is it the goals you said?
Yes, the business share
Business
time.
goals? So for me, I want to have, I'm working on SOPs and in my fulfillment, making it better. So I want to have like all that done in the next at least the SOPs for the clients that are the few fulfillment hires. I should get it done by the end of this week. Maybe one of them I finish it next week. And yeah, like just get my prospecting machine that I started building yesterday, finish it by the end of the week to at least one of the channels, and then keep opening at least one channel a week. So yeah, that's my thing. Just
That's
keep
awesome.
amplifying what I'm doing.
Okay, that's good. Mary, what about you?
See, challenge in real estate. Well, when you have a seller who makes things more complicated than they need to be, for example, they're saying, hey, you know what? We just want you to submit a letter of intent. Don't ask us for financials. Just submit us a letter of intent, like here, put a number together, and that kind of stuff is, it's like, it becomes a game, and people don't want their time wasted. And so it's like, how do you keep both parties together, where one party is just like, hey, the seller doesn't seem to be serious. And then you've got the seller who's like, no, we're serious, but yeah, just submit a purchase agreement without knowing what the numbers are, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that right now I'm dealing with, because you're looking at maybe one's asking for 40 million for the one property, and then the other one's a portfolio of maybe like over 100 million, and people are just going to say, okay, here's some money, and we just don't know the financials behind it. That just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge I'm dealing with these recent acquisitions I'm trying to get done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good, Mary. Brian, what about you?
So, success story. I have a new client who her husband passed recently, and she was having some trouble trying to figure out what she was supposed to do. And because she didn't need the extra money that she had received from the insurance death benefit. She had all her needs were taken care of. She didn't know what she was going to do with the extra money. And I said, do you ever donate to charity? And she says, well, I never do. My husband did that. I don't do that. Okay. If you were going to donate to charity, do you know what it would be? And she said, well, maybe Children's Hospital, and maybe to my alma mater. And okay, that's fine. But if you don't do that, that's fine. So next day she called me she decided to donate the death benefit to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And she decided to donate a Picasso to her alma mater. So all because I asked the question. So
Awesome. All right. And I know, Brian, you shared a lot of great information also. So just so you know, I did a 30-minute interview of Brian George, and we're working on that video, and we're going to put that out for you guys to listen to, because he's got a lot of great information that you need to know about Brian. So anyway, okay, so thank you for sharing your success stories, your challenges and goals. Now, would like to ask each one of you, did you find any opportunity or did you learn anything from what we had today? By the way, I forgot to get some feedback from you on Steve's presentation, but right now let's go ahead and make it verbal. So what do you guys think? Martha, what do you think about the meeting today? And did you find anything at all or learn something about it?
I'm gonna invest on Steve's project and I'm gonna do it before I leave.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, what about you, Fu?
For me, yeah, that's a cool take of, just kind of seeing an opportunity and then being like, okay, it's the same thing, but now because we changed certain things in the use, now it's cool. So, so that was a new perspective. So I like that.
Okay, all right, and Mary?
Yeah, the presentation was easy to follow and educational. So thanks.
All right, and Brian?
so I know much more about what Steve does than I did when we started this, which is good for me because I collect nuanced strategies that could be beneficial to me, my clients, my colleagues, or someone I meet next week.
Awesome. All right, and Steve?
Well, I want to thank everybody for the time and the attention. I appreciate Marie giving me a chance to explain kind of what we do. And if you have any questions, and I know you probably do because I threw a lot out there pretty fast, feel free to call me or contact me, email me, or you can get me through Marie as well. We're pretty well connected. And Marie knows a lot about our project. She actually is one of our investors too. Either way, the reason I say that is sometimes Marie is easier to connect with than I am because my schedule is so packed. So if you get hold of me and I don't respond in a day, I'll get back to you, but you can get hold of Marie. She can usually rattle my cage and say, you need to get back to this person.
Yeah, and take the time to put your contact information if you wanted to share it to everybody on chat. Also, give us your feedback in terms of, in writing, what you think about the meeting. Let's go ahead and take 30 seconds to do that if you can. And I know, Brian, you're driving, you can just provide us your feedback later if you don't have to, type in anything because you're driving. Okay. So while you're working on that, I think, the presentation, Steve, is really awesome. I know that a lot of people will learn more about it. And keep in mind, you guys, that this information opens up an opportunity for you also. You have to think about other types of income, different types of resources that you can connect for yourself and for your connections. It's always good to know other opportunities that you can be a part of and take advantage of it. And that's why it's good that you guys are all here and you were able to watch the presentation. Any other comments before we sign up? We have 5 minutes. Just wanted to get overall feedback of the meeting. Any comments?
Real quick, Marie, if anybody wants to get the hour version of that presentation, that's going to be at the San Diego Creative Investors Association on the second Tuesday of June.
Okay, but they don't have an online, right?
I don't think so. So if you're in the Southern California area and you want to come to San Diego because it's nice down here, and spend a day or so. You can come by the meeting. It's the second Tuesday of every month. I believe it's going to be video recorded, and I think once we get that, that can be put out. I think it'll be up on the SDCI website.
Yeah,
I am doing an extended version of this presentation.
okay. And any other questions, any feedback, Mary?
No, it was nice to see some familiar faces again, and it's nice to catch up and see what Steve is up to. We're in somewhat similar fields, but not, but I definitely understand it. So it was good catching up. Thanks.
Okay. And Mary, I think you should connect with Brian because, you know, talking to Brian, I learned a lot about what he does.
Mergers and acquisitions.
No,
No?
no, Brian helps actually companies, big companies save some tax
Tax gains.
Yeah.
When they sell. Mhm.
Yeah, so he has a lot of strategies that I've learned from interviewing him, and I think it will be a great for you to connect with him. And Martha here, have you met Martha? Is this your first time meeting Martha?
I met Martha at the, what is it, Chambers of Commerce, North County, I think, Leadership Award, and you guys were interviewing her? Is that right? Out in
Oh,
the
they were
front?
at your Filipino Awards event too.
Yeah, the Filipino Awards one.
Well, Martha, oh, yeah, yes, that's right. So you, Martha, do you remember Mary?
I was
Can
the
I
one
see
that didn't want to
your face,
interview.
Mary?
He was the Filipino there.
I was the one who didn't want to interview, but I listened to you guys.
Oh, I remember
Yeah.
you. You're the
Yeah.
pretty one who didn't want to get interviewed.
Yeah, so instead I end up volunteering and working the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you remember her. She didn't want to be interviewed for the Finest Women in Real Estate reality show, right? Okay, so at least you guys know each other, and it looks like Fu, you know almost everybody here. So make sure you guys connect. And thank you so much for your time. I hope that this was very valuable to you. And our next meeting is on Friday at 11 a.m. If you have any questions at all, or you know, get back to some of our marketing programs like the magazine, radio show, let me know. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody, and have a great week. And I'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, Marie.
All right. Bye, Mary. Bye, Martha. Bye, Steve. Bye, Brian.